dogs make the best companions for humans, this podcast aims to help make humans better companions for their dogs. Welcome to the Baru Podcast, a modern lifestyle podcast for dogs and their people. I'm your host, Charlotte Bain. I've been caring for other people's dogs for more than 15 years. And while I've learned a lot in my career, I definitely don't know it all. So I've collected an ever-evolving roster of amazing dog people, and I learn new things from them all the time. Hi, you guys, and thanks for listening to this episode of the Baru Podcast. In today's episode, I get to chat with Noelle Kaswini of Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary. I've been following Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary since they created a Facebook page almost a decade ago. They now have close to 2 million followers on Facebook, and they have over 500 senior dogs in their care. We chat about the inspiration behind the sanctuary, the wonderful work that they do there, and some of the sweet senior pups that come through their doors. So let's jump into the chat.
Yeah, it's so nice to meet you. Are you in LA?
I'm in Los Angeles, yeah, and you guys are Tennessee, right?
Yes, we are. I lived in Burbank for a couple years.
Oh, you did?
And I worked in Sherman Oaks. Yeah.
What were you doing out here?
I worked in the music industry. I worked at Atlantic Records and ABC, Disney ABC, and then I worked at a PR firm for a while.
Fun. So. What made you, are you from Tennessee originally? Or
I'm born and raised Nashville, and then I moved to LA right after college for a couple years, and moved back home when I couldn't afford to live in LA anymore.
Yeah, I get it. It's only getting harder and harder and harder.
Yeah, I believe that. Here too. I mean, here is not anywhere compared to LA, but it's definitely for Nashville getting harder to afford.
Nashville's like a hot spot right now. People are like, I know actually a lot of people during the pandemic who picked up and moved to Nashville from LA and bought houses and all the things. So I'm sure it's just jacking everything up. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah, it's all relative, but yeah. So what are you, so you're from Tennessee. So what got you into the Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary?
So I, after I lived in LA, I started working on cruise ships.
Okay, cool.
And I did that for a long time. And I came back to Nashville in 2018. It's like, I'd really love to have a dog, but I'm not ready to have a dog. Yeah. And about a year later, so in 2019, I may have been drinking some red wine on my own.
Some of the best things happened. Best discoveries happened.
Yeah. And I was home, so I wasn't like out, doing shenanigans. But I started just searching on Pet Finder, even though I wasn't ready to have a dog, searching on Pet Finder, and I came across Old Friends.
Yeah.
There's this one dog who had been there for 3 years, and his little bio said that he was often overlooked, and he was a Jack Russell, and I grew up with Jack Russell, so my heart was just drawn to him.
Yeah.
And when I read that Old Friends covered all the costs, for medical care and preventatives, it's this feels like a no-brainer, because now I don't have the excuse of not being able to afford a dog. So I met him and I brought him home the first week of 2020. He ended up being my pandemic dog. I was furloughed from work because of the pandemic and had a lot of free time. So I started working for Old Friends because I love the organization so much.
Yeah.
I started working for them part-time as events and volunteer support. And when my job came back, I decided I wasn't going back. I wanted to stay at Old Friends instead. So that's kind of how I got to where I am today. I've now been with the organization officially for coming up on 2 years.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I really love it. Thank you very much.
Is your senior pup still with you?
His name is Russ, and Russ passed away the day before his gotcha day. I know, I was so sad for many reasons.
Yeah.
But I was really looking forward to celebrating our 1 year together. But I have 2 old friends right now, Eugene and Trixie, and Eugene came home with me a week after Russ passed away.
No.
So I figured if Russ had to wait 3 years, I didn't want another dog to have to wait for me to get over my grief, because we all know
Sure.
it's not a quick process.
I think it's just an ongoing thing and it just finds its place, right,
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So is that like a foster program that they do? We can jump into that
yeah.
more in depth in a little bit, but I was curious. So it's because you said that they cover all of the costs. So I'm assuming like you get to care for them till the end of their life, essentially, right?
Yes. So we call it a forever foster program, and we call our forever families geezer guardians.
Oh, cute.
So it's a forever foster program. You can be a geezer guardian to an old friend. And yes, we cover all medical care, the actual care itself and the cost of medical care. So like routine vet care, if it's emergency, we cover that. Preventatives, really anything medical we cover. The only thing that we ask our guardians to provide is obviously a home and lots of love.
Sure. And
food if they can. If for any reason they can't provide food, we'll also cover that.
Right. Is that only for people in Tennessee who live near the sanctuary?
We have a radius. We do require our guardians to live within 100 miles of the sanctuary. And that is just because we do provide that medical care. We want it to be a reasonable distance for people to be able to get their dog to us or to an approved one of the emergency vets that we work with.
Right.
And then also, if for any reason the guardians can no longer care for their old friend, whatever that reason is, that old friend comes back to us instead of being rehomed or put back into the shelter system. And 100 miles is like, they're going to get back to us. If they live 250 miles away, they're probably not going to take the time to drive the dog back to us. So. Yeah.
Anybody who knows me knows that I love a senior dog, and it's not just because I have a senior dog. My guy's about 14 and a half right now. Yeah.
What's
going strong. His name's Chance. I can show him to you. He's right here.
Oh, look at that face.
Yeah. He's sleeping. So he definitely has the frame of a Staffordshire Terrier, but then he's got like long wiry hair. Because for those people who've just heard my voice and never seen my dog, he's got like long white wiry hair, but those soulful Stafford Terrier eyes, and like Falcor is the dog dragon is what they call him. You know, from the Neverending Story. We've gotten that a lot. Anyway, so back to Old Friend Senior Dog Sanctuary. I'm so curious. So anyone who knows me knows that I love a senior dog, and my friend Kelly and I always joke that in a few years we're gonna joke, but who knows if it's a joke? We're going to launch a senior dog sanctuary at some point. We would love to. So I'm just so curious if you can speak about a little bit on like the inspiration and the founders and kind of what got them moving in this direction.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Our founders are Zena and Michael Gooden. They are originally from, I think, Connecticut. Oh. They met at college in Arizona. Yeah. And they ended up in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, which is like a very random place to end up, but they did. And they started volunteering at a local golden retriever rescue. Mm-hmm. And after working with them for a while, they started to realize that like the senior Goldens, and we know Goldens are like one of the most popular breeds in the States. The senior Goldens were not being placed into homes at the same frequency as the younger ones. And I thought, if this is happening with Goldens, again, the most popular breed in the States, what's happening to seniors of other breeds? Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of the inspiration for starting Old Friends.
Right.
They had 8 Goldens in their home at one point. And that they just started taking in other breeds of seniors. Mm-hmm. And they officially became Old Friends in 2012 is when they received nonprofit status.
Okay, so about 10 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, we just celebrated 10 years in April. But this was like, I think they started bringing seniors into their home in like 2010 ish. But officially became Old Friends, the nonprofit, in 2012. They were doing it out of their home. Okay. And they have this beautiful home here in Mount Juliet. At one point, the property next door to them came up for sale. This was like in 2015, I think. And they bought it because they were like, we have too many dogs. I think at that point they had over 40 dogs in their home. So they're like, yeah, we should just buy this property next door so we can expand. So they did. And that was 2015. In 2016, some of their neighbors started complaining about the dogs, because I mean that's a lot of dogs to
like
have
the barking in the neighborhood.
Barking, yeah. And so the city, they was, kind of gave them a time limit to find a new place. And they were like, well, what are we supposed to do? We don't have it. Like, the reason why we have these dogs in our house is because we don't have the resources, yes, to have a facility. So they found a place here in Mount Juliet. They hosted a fundraiser. They got enough money during the fundraiser to sign this lease for this property here in Mount Juliet. And the week before they were supposed to sign and move, the lease owner pulled out.
Oh. Do you think that was like a liability thing because of all the dogs, or
possibly? And it was, I think it also was, the building was not really set up for animals. And I don't think the guy had thought it really through until the last minute. He's like, I don't want animals to be in here if I ever want to lease it out for something else. So a garden center had just gone up for sale. They didn't have the money for it, but the fundraiser had raised enough money to put a down payment on it. So it all kind of worked out. That ended up being Grandpa's Garden.
Cute. That's the name.
And that was the name of it. Yes. And so we were in there from 2017 until we moved into the Pavilions, which is our current home last year. But about 2 years into being there, around 2019, Zena and Michael realized that like gardens, while they served us really well, they were not going to get us through the growth period that we really wanted to see for Old Friends, especially since we were getting contacted just like left and right with senior dogs in need. So they started planning this building from ground up specifically for senior dogs.
This is the new building?
The new building? This is the new building. And it is 20,000 square feet. It's beautiful. Our medical facility here at the Pavilions is the same size as the gardens.
Oh my gosh. So you have your own it sounds like a fancy like retirement community.
It is a very fancy retirement community for dogs. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. With senior dogs, Zena and Michael knew that like one of the biggest hindrances for people was the cost. Yeah. Most people don't adopt seniors because they don't know what costs are involved with medical or whatever else it might be, emergency. So that's when they decided, if we're going to be placing these dogs into homes, we have to cover the cost of medical care. So that's how that started. At the gardens, our medical facility, we were really limited to non-sterile procedures only. We had one room for like basically all medical care, and the gardens was a very old building and not set up for sterile procedures. So we had to outsource everything. Wow. Here at the Pavilions, we have our own clinic. We can do almost everything on site now. Now we currently only outsource for emergency procedures or like really specific types of surgeries, like oncology, ophthalmology, neurology. Yeah. But everything else.
So you have a whole veterinary staff there.
We do.
How many dogs are you up to at the Senior Dog Sanctuary?
At the moment, we have 117 dogs here at the Pavilions, which is this building. And we have about 400 in Forever Homes right now. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we're caring for over 500 senior dogs at the moment.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How many dogs can you fit at the new place?
Very.
Like, do you have a limit on
we have a limit-ish. About 125 is our limit. It really depends on the size of the dog.
Yeah.
So we have 6 main dog rooms, 2 large dog, 2 small dog, 1 medium dog, and 1 that is like mixed sizes, but they wouldn't do well in
Got it.
The other rooms, like they're a little bit slower or need more attention.
Yeah.
So those are our 6 main dog rooms, but then we also have 10 suites. That's what we call them, for the dogs who are like dog selective or aggressive, or even people selective. So we do have a limited space for dogs who are selective.
Yeah.
We have 10 suites. So we've had a couple more than that before, and we've just found places.
Right. You figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. But 10 is really supposed to be our limit for that. Yeah. Now, this like small dogs, we can definitely fit a bunch of small dogs in a room. Yeah. without feeling overcrowded. So it really just depends on their size and their temperament.
Do you find that most of the dogs do get along and enjoy being all together? Or do you see, or is it just kind of the same as anywhere? I don't know if like senior dogs, as they age, they could become more tolerant or less tolerant, or really are in their own little world, so they don't really care.
We have all of those, all of the above, I think is the answer. I would say most of our dogs get along with each other. Most of our dogs are dog friendly. We have a good handful that are selective, but can be in a room with others, and we just put them into like a rotation with each other.
So they don't get stressed out. Yeah.
They don't get stressed out. They get along with some dogs, but not the others. So they can still be out and socializing. But you know, it's like whenever you work or in life, you don't get along with everyone, but you get along with most people, right?
I know I don't think people understand that about dogs. They don't have to, just like us, they don't have to like everybody that they come in contact with, you know, and they don't have to say hi to every single dog they come in contact with. They don't have to do anything that they don't want to do in that manner, you know? So
it's so true. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we monitor that. We, you know, take a look at that. When we introduce them, we're very good about, you know, being systematic with introducing them. Yeah. We don't just like say, you're welcome to the pavilions, here's your room.
Right.
We take time with our caretakers and let them sniff each other and go on a walk together and like really make sure that they are comfortable and watch their mannerisms.
Yeah.
Before just like opening a door and letting them run loose with others. And if they do start to, because some are very friendly when they first get here. And if they're here for a long time, a couple months, they might start to become less tolerant. So we just monitor that. Yeah. Others go the other way. They're very intolerant when they arrive. And by working with them, they start getting along with other dogs. So it just depends on the dog, I think.
Yeah. What do you think, what's the average length of time that a dog is in your care there?
Ooh, gosh, probably a couple months.
Oh, really?
It really depends that much on the dog. Yeah. So some dogs will come in and they will have a home within the next 2 weeks. Right. Some dogs have been here coming up 2 years. And we don't really, some of the dogs, we understand why, if it's their temperament or they're just a big dog.
Hold on one second. George, come here. You're good. Come here. The gardener's outside with his blower. Bad timing. So the other dog that's staying with me is
it's George. That's a good name for a dog.
His favorite thing is to come here, George. Come say hi. His favorite thing is to yell at the gardener. George.
I have my Eugene is like that. Oh, George, you're very cute. You're very fluffy. George, you look like a giant stuffed animal.
I'm so sorry about that.
Oh gosh,
where were we? We were talking about the average length of time they were there.
So we do have some dogs who have been here for a couple of years as well. And that just, again, some we understand why, and some are like, what? Like, why have these dogs not been placed into a home yet? They're perfect. Yeah. So
it's the same in any shelter situation, you know? Yeah.
So, but that's, with my experience with my first old friend, Russ, I hate that he had to wait 3 years. Like that still hurts my heart that he had to wait 3 years to find a home. But I'm also so grateful that he waited because he was one of the best dogs I've ever had in my whole life.
He was just waiting for you.
Yeah. So I do believe it's very hard, but I do believe that the right people are out there for these dogs and they just have to, and we have to be patient. They just have to find each other. So,
Is there a dog that's been there a really long time? Like,
I'm trying to think who. Miss Peggy has been here maybe 3 years.
oh, wow.
Rose and Ebenezer have also been here coming up on 3 years. They're a bonded pair. Rose is a Rhodesian Ridgeback, and Ebenezer is a Beagle. They are our odd couple.
They came in together.
They came in. So Ebenezer came to us first. He is definitely a senior, and he came to us first. And a couple days after he arrived, the shelter called and said, "Listen, Ebenezer was bonded to another dog here at our shelter, but we didn't send her to you because she's not a senior, but she is not well without him. Could you take her?" And we said, "Yeah, of course." So, so she's much younger than he is. I think currently she's about maybe 6 or 7, but they've been here almost 3 years. And he's like 13 or 14, and they're just the oddest couple, but they're best friends, and it's the cutest thing ever. So they've been here a while, but Rose is very, very timid with people. So we understand why they have not gotten home, but she's made a lot of progress. So hopefully soon, their person will come and find them. And then we also have a dog named Bentley. Bentley has been with us. What year is it? 2012?
2022. I know. It's all a blur.
It is all a blur. I think he's been with the organization with Zena and Michael since 2014, 15, maybe. He's been with us a long time. He actually lived in their house before they moved into the gardens. And he's just like an old grumpy man, and he's great. He's
what kind
great.
Of dog
he's
is
just
he?
Like
mix.
Oh, like a Chihuahua mix, maybe.
Is he's running things there? I
yeah.
assume.
Oh, yeah. He's like the oldest old friend that we have living with us, but he's great. If you ever see his picture, he just looks like an old man.
Yeah. Oh, cute. I'll have to go on is he on your website?
He's on our website. Yeah.
What's his name? Ebenezer? Is that what you?
Bentley.
Okay.
So yeah, if you go on our website and then to meet the dogs, he's on the very last page, because the way our pages are organized is like newest to oldest. And so he's on the last page.
He's on the last page.
The oldest old friend we have.
What age do the dogs come to you? Like, do you have a cutoff?
Yeah, we try really hard to bring in dogs like 10 and older. Of course, that does depend on the breed. Bigger dogs, maybe like 8, 7 or 8 even, just because bigger breeds don't have as long of lifespan, so they're considered seniors a little earlier. Like we have 2 Mastiffs right now, and they're like 6 to 7.
Gosh, I know.
But that's considered a senior for a Mastiff. So.
Yeah. So where do most of the dogs come from? And is there kind of like do you know why do we think we see so many senior dogs in shelters? Because we do. I mean, in here Great we question. Do. And I have an idea. I'm sure a lot of it is finances, but where do the dogs that you guys rescue come from? And is it only in Tennessee, or?
We do primarily intake seniors from local shelters and rescues or animal control facilities. We do sometimes take from other areas in the state, and on rare occasions from neighboring states. So we try to focus on our community first, but if we have the space, we will help dogs from other parts of the state or neighboring states. One of our dogs, she's in a home now. Her name is Florence. She actually came to us from Hurricane Irma. She was displaced during Irma, and we helped her. We brought her in. One of our newer dogs, Zilber, he's from a shelter in Georgia. He was a very rare case. He's very prone to seizures, and is a big dog. He's a bull mastiff. And so his chances of he was being fostered, but a permanent home were very slim. So we just welcomed him into the pavilions. But yeah, otherwise we really do try to focus locally, Middle Tennessee. And those places, those shelters, rescues, or animal control either receive those dogs as owner surrenders. Reasons have been finances, like you said. If an owner passes away and their family can't take the dog, if the owner has to go into assisted living or hospice and can't take their dog, if they're moving and can't take their dog, and there's some other reasons that are just like, that makes no sense. But some of those are very understandable.
Just can't do it. They just can't do it for whatever reason.
For whatever reason. Or they are found by those facilities as stray. Whether they got lost from their owners or dumped or whatever.
Which is something that happens that people don't realize.
So, but sometimes we know a little bit, especially if it was an owner surrender. Sometimes that shelter rescue will share some of that information with us. But more often than not, we don't know anything about their past. So we don't really focus on that. That's just like, why focus on the past? We're just going to focus on their present and their future and make it the best that it can be.
That's beautiful. Do you find that people is there the people that will take on the fostering and adopting of the senior dogs, you're obviously an exception to that, but do you find that most of them are also in their golden years? Do you think there's like a theme there, or is it anybody across the board? Because it would be such a nice pairing, I feel like.
Yes, you know? We do have, I wish I could give you percentages, but I couldn't even tell you. We have a good chunk though, because I see a lot of our geezer guardians coming to take their dogs home for the first time or coming back for appointments. I think we have a really good chunk of seniors with seniors, but we also have a really great variety of ages. Like we have kids, and I say kids, people in their 20s.
Oh, those kids.
Anyone who's younger than me is a kid. People in their 20s who are coming and becoming geezer guardians. We have couples in their 30s or 40s being geezer guardians. And then, of course, we have people up to their, I think we have one geezer guardian who might be in his 90s. So it's for anyone who is able to provide that care and is willing to be a home for these dogs. We don't care how old they are. You know, we do a virtual home visit as part of the application process. But I do know that there are some rescues who require that you have a fence or require X, Y, or Z. The fence is not a requirement for us. We just want to make sure that the dog is going to a good home and that it's a good fit for that dog's needs. So if it's a dog with mobility issues, obviously a home with a lot of stairs just won't be a good fit physically for them. But that says nothing about the capability of the person. It's just the home environment. We want to make sure it's a good match. So if a person is interested in this dog with mobility issues, but they have stairs and it's not going to work, we will try to pair them with another old friend that would be a good fit for their home. So we want to make sure that everyone who wants to be a geezer guardian can be. Because we want to make sure that these dogs have
the remaining years.
Good homes.
It's also just such a great idea for people who want to experience loving a dog. And if you take that financial aspect out of the equation, which can cause a lot of stress for some folks, and they can just give the love. They can just focus on giving the love and knowing that that dog's getting the kind of care that it needs, in addition to the love that they're able to give.
Yeah. Our vet team is awesome too. Like someone is always on call. So even if there's an issue at 2:00 in the morning, call that person and say, my dog is having a seizure, or my dog is whatever is happening. What do I need to do? And they will either talk you through it or tell you where to go or what to do. Like it's just a 24-hour service for emergencies or for help. Random questions, or my dog won't stop sneezing, or
I remember when my guy was younger,
Yeah.
like the first few years, it was just like, then you get over, then you're like, all right, well, he's just sneezed. That's a reverse sneeze. But those things that come up,
Yes.
why is he doing this? Why is he drooling? Why is he, all these things that can be scary if you've never cared for a dog before because you don't know what it is, what it means.
Absolutely. Well, one of mine had this random bump pop up on his backside a couple months ago. And I work, they come to work with me. So I came into work and I was like, Eugene has a bump. What is this? It's like, it's never been there before. And they were like, it's like, we're going to pull fluid and we'll check it out. But I'm pretty sure it's just it's just fluid. And it was. But those things, they do come up.
Seniors have a lot of lumps and bumps.
That's for sure. Lumps and bumps.
They really do.
Which is
in majority of the time, I've been told they're fine.
Yeah. But things like that, where it's like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And they're right on. So, it's really great that we are able to offer that for our dogs and for their guardians. But we wouldn't be able to do that without our donors because we are solely operating off of private donations.
You're a 501c3,
we are.
Right? It's not with that. Yeah. Yes. So it's full nonprofit.
Full nonprofit. Yeah. And we do get small grants here and there, which are so appreciated. But I would say like 90% of what we get is from private donations from people just wanting to help us out, which is incredible. Doesn't even begin.
Do you have I know you guys have a book.
Yeah, we do have a book. I think it was released in 2020. It's called Homecoming Tales, and it's just a collection of stories of about 15 of our dogs. Mac is on the cover. Mac is one of our super dogs. Very social.
What makes him a super? Is he? What makes him? I don't know if I know him. What Mac makes him a super dog?
He's the Cocker Spaniel without eyes, so he wears his bangs really long. He's I don't know. People just gravitated towards Mac.
Yeah,
and we don't really. People will gravitate towards certain dogs, and we don't really know. I mean, every single one of our dogs is great, but why this one dog over the other 100 and so many? So Mac is on the cover of the book. He's also the star of our mobile game. I don't know if you've seen that.
When I was looking at your website recently, I did notice that, and I didn't quite understand.
Yeah,
but I'm not very tech savvy, so
that's okay. Yeah, it's a mobile game, so you can download it on your phone, and you you build and run your own senior dog sanctuary. You take care of 10 old friends, who are real old friends. Yeah. It's a fun game that came to us. Zena and Michael received an email from this game creator called Runaway, based in New Zealand in 2018. And Zena at first, she was like, this is a scam, trash. And turns out it was not a scam. They came and they visited and they took lots of pictures and got to know all the dogs. And they went and they developed this really beautiful game about our sanctuary. It's just a very soothing, you give the dogs belly rubs and bake them treats and feed them treats, and you can decorate your sanctuary. And, it's just a very sweet, fun little game. But Mac is in that also. So.
And then can you donate through that app, or is it just you purchase the app and then the purchasing goes to donations towards the sanctuary, or how does that work?
The app, to download it's actually a free download.
Okay.
But there are in-app purchases that you can make if you want to buy special ingredients for your treats or special outfits for your dogs. And portions of those in-app purchases come to the sanctuary.
Got it.
So we love our partnership with Runaway. They're fantastic to work with. The game does benefit old friends.
That's so great. That's such an innovative way of going about it too. It's pretty cool. Can you sponsor a dog? If there's a dog, a particular dog you fall in love with, can you sponsor?
Sponsor a dog. Yes, that's a great question. Okay. Yes, absolutely. So we do offer dog sponsorships. You can go on our website. Meet the dogs. If you see a dog that you just connect with but can't be a geezer guardian, you can sponsor So yeah, and that your name goes on their page as their sponsor.
Cute.
You get updates, throughout the year about that dog. So
That is
yeah.
such a sweet, sweet thing.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify that you you only pull from dogs that you said from shelters in the immediate area, and you're not a place that people can just bring their senior dog to, because I don't want people, or they don't, that people can just hand their dog over to you. You go through the proper channels. So I just want to make sure that people who might be listening can, or are having hardship or something, don't just.
We're just plain and simple. We're just not set up to accept owner surrenders directly. Well, we do have, we're in the beginning stages of building Flo's front porch.
Oh, what's that?
I don't know if you saw that on our website. This is going to be a separate entity, but we will be running it. It's a perpetual care community for dogs. So people who, I know we talked earlier about people who either pass away and their families can't care for their dogs, or if they go into assisted living or hospice and can't take their dogs with them. Flo's front porch will be a place where they can preemptively make sure that their dog will be cared for if they no longer can.
Right.
So if a person passes away, they can, ahead of that time, plan in their estate for their dog to come here.
Okay.
Or not here, to Flo's front porch. We're going to have 11.
Is Flo's front porch in a different area?
It is a whole different place, but it's right down the street. It's like less than 0.3 of a mile away. Like, it's right down the street. So we're hoping to break ground on it next month, before the end of the year. Yeah. And hopefully we'll have it opened by the end of 2023. But there will be 11 cottages. Each cottage will be able to house 3 to 5 dogs. There will be a fee, of course, to reserve your dog's space. But that's just so that we don't just have like people, again, coming and dumping dogs. Like, this is also the fee will also cover their care, the cost of their care for life. So people will be able to choose, do they want their dog to stay with us for life? That's going to be a little bit of a higher fees, because it's going to be dogs of all ages, not just senior dogs.
Oh, okay. So just it's kind of an insurance policy, essentially.
And then, yes, that is a great way to put it. Yes, absolutely. Or if they also want, I want my dog to be part of your program, but I also want it to live in a home, then we will try to find it a home also, but still with us providing that care and the cost of that care with their trust, if you will.
Right.
So, yeah, because that's something that we get a lot of people who ask, like, what do I do when I pass? And
right. Well, I mean, that's a common concern. I don't know if people think about it, think that far ahead a lot of the time. And so planning, one of the things you think about in pet ownership is you got to plan for all those unexpected times, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that's another upcoming project, but different from same, but different from what we currently do. It'll just be, a little different, but still providing all of that care.
Right. You guys do such amazing work.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to say, I know that you said that you and your friends kind of joke about opening up your own sanctuary one day.
We do.
Yeah. We are, in September, we're doing a workshop for starting, growing, and operating a senior dog sanctuary.
No, you're not. Are you serious?
Okay. We are. Oh, we are. It's full.
Okay.
But we're going to be doing it again next year, and we might even do it twice next year.
Okay.
And I think it's just going to become an annual thing.
Is it a webinar, or do I have to be there in person?
It's an in-person.
Well, something to plan with my trip to Tennessee. That's so cool. That's great. Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Because we get a lot of people also who say, like, you should franchise. Like, there should be an Old Friends in
everywhere.
Wyoming,
there should be one everywhere.
And and Zena and Michael, their thought process is, we don't want to franchise, but we want to teach people how to do it themselves. So that's why we offer the workshop.
That's great.
So yeah, if that's something that you and your friend really want to do,
I will discuss it with
and
Kelly.
need a starting place. And I know you know a lot about dogs already, but we would love to have you if that's something that ever comes to fruition for you.
We joke about it, but I think that we do. I mean, not right at this moment in time, but I mean, who knows what the future holds? Every day's different, right? So yeah.
You never know. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Baru Podcast. You can visit their website, ofsds.org, to learn more about Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary and all the ways that you can support, sponsor, or even foster a pup if you live in the vicinity. They also schedule tours, so if you're in Tennessee or you're visiting Tennessee, be sure to check them out and give those sweet senior pups some love. Do you have a behavior question, a health question, or a story of canine companionship you want to share with us? You can email me, Charlotte@thebaru.com, or call 424-273-5131 and leave me a message. And if you don't have a pen handy, don't worry. You can find the contact info in the show notes. And don't forget to rate us and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. All right, you guys, let's chat next week.